welcome back to the Real Precious. You guys could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here today with us. And so I thank you. Hello to those who are in the chat. Thank you guys so much. I hope you liked the video before coming into the chat, just so it will spread throughout YouTube land. And they will be able to watch the video too, because we got a special guest on the video today, y'all. We have two guests today on the video, on the live show, I should say, on the broadcast. And so we want everyone to see it, because we are bringing a great show today, and I am so grateful, so humbled by our guest today. So our first guest that we have, again, guys, like the video so it'll spread to YouTube land. The first guest that we have today is Austin off script. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I am happy to be here. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. I'm excited. Like I there's no other way to describe it. I'm so excited. Y'all know that song, right?
Well, for sure. Most definitely. I'm excited myself.
That's how I'm feeling. But how about you?
I'm feeling pretty good. I have to say I feel pretty good about today. I saw the video previously, so there's a lot to digest. There's a lot to talk about in this. So I'm just as interested and just as excited to get into it as you are, without question.
All right, and without further ado, I am going to bring our special guest up. Honestly, she needs no introduction, but I grew up watching her. Okay. The short hair, she just rocked it so well. Fox 29 was my channel where I just took it all in. Today, guys, we have with us the Honorable Judge Lynn Toler.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Hey, Julio. Hey, Precious.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So thanks so much for joining us, Judge Lynn. I am so humbled to have you here on my little itty bitty YouTube show. Okay, I just started this thing not too long ago, and I'm glad to be here. That the connections are connecting. Okay, so I thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome. It's my pleasure.
I have someone in the chat with the phone because this says she ain't aged a day. And
there you go.
Hey, they say black don't crack though, church, for real.
You ain't never lied about that. Now we have you here, Judge Lynn Toler, because like I said, this channel here is just something new, and it's really jumping off the ground because of a video that I posted of you. And when I tell you it's at almost 270,000 views, almost over about 1,000. Yes, you have to see this video. You have to read the comments because
it's so fascinating. I posted it on TikTok and I got like 500. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Look, I'm in this awesome media creation podcast and group here. That's where I met Austin. We're in a great group to grow the channels. And so if you want to join us,
maybe I should.
Come on, sign up in it. Look, you can teach us something for sure.
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link.
Come on now. We can get her up in there for sure.
I have the clip with us today, but yes, over 270,000 views, over 1,000 comments. The people love you, Judge Lynn. They love you.
Thank you.
And this particular clip went crazy. And I'm going to play it just for anyone who hasn't seen it, anyone who is here. But before we do you have any opening words of greeting the people here today?
No, not really. I mean, it's just a pleasure to be here. It was Sunday. Julio and I, we chit-chat every once in a while. And he said, hey, yesterday, what you doing? And I was like, nothing. So he said, well, can you come on? And I said, sure. So here I am.
Which always humbles me like a kid, I have to say, because I used to watch you growing up too. So, I'm always humbled and always appreciative whenever you have an opportunity to join us. And because you know how many you get down. We done this a couple times before. So
no, it's my pleasure. It really is.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm always honored.
Again. Thank you again. I'm going to play the clip so those who have not seen it can see it. We'll go here. All right. play this from the beginning.
We're too much on the labels these days. You know, we've got simps and pick-me's, and I was on a conversation about my marriage at one point, and I talked about how my husband had 4 kids, and he had just gotten divorced, so his finances were crazy, and I had no debt, no kids, no problems, had money in the bank, and I married him, and someone called me a pick-me because I didn't get a high-value man or didn't engage in hypergamy. And then once we got married, instead of him setting the purpose and the dream, he realized that, man, her purpose and her dream is gonna get both of us further. So he practically shut down his shop to help me become a judge, and then he went across the country to allow me to be on TV, and dropped his practice. So yeah, maybe I was a pick-me, and maybe he's a simp. But given the way things turned out, I'm simply glad he picked me. And you would be too.
Okay. So we played that clip on the channel, and like I said, it went crazy. It went crazy. And so I wanted to start out, Judge Lynn, with I have this phrase called "from the womb to the tomb." I say that a lot of things form us in the beginning, in our beginning ages and stages with our family. I wanted to know, how were your parents instrumental in who you are today? Because I've heard some of your story, your background, and your history. But to tell the audience, how were they instrumental in your life? Because I know you grew up with a father, and a lot of women do not grow up with a father.
Right. It was absolutely everything, like it is absolutely everything to everybody. But the understanding has to be, my father was born in 1919 and my mother was born in 1930. So their way of doing business is not at all like anybody else, you know, what we're doing today. You know, my father was not talking about go to college. He says, which Ivy League school are you going to? That was the only conversation that we had. I was going to be a physician. There was no conversation about that. We worked hard. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. He was a lawyer, but it was all about the process and procedure of being financially not only financially independent, but financially, you know, swag worthy.
Get swag.
That's how they raised both me and my sisters. They wanted us to be financially swag worthy.
Gotcha. Now, I personally want to know, this is a selfish question right here. Okay, before we get to the good stuff, y'all, because I know you're like, this has nothing to do with the clip. Before we get to the good stuff, I have a selfish question really quick. The short hair, Judge. What the mind frame? Because you know the short hair is not easy for everybody. Okay, what was your mind frame? You gotta be you gotta have a certain attitude to rock the shortcut.
Well, when I was little, my hair was down here, and then I kept cutting it shorter. When I got married, it was about right here. I got on a fake ponytail now because it's about here, because I'm trying to bring it back down and give my husband a thrill. I cut my hair off because when I used to have to go roll my hair like this in rollers and stay in the dryer for 2 hours, and it was too much. So if I cut it all off, which I did, and I cut it myself, I didn't have to bother with it. I'm really not a chick.
Well, you got the beautiful face for it.
Well, so but I don't, you know what I mean? I don't do the earrings. I got on a 20-year-old t-shirt. It's that
natural beauty.
I'm just not a chick. That's
they say black don't crack for a reason, though. So.
Right. Now you say you growing your hair back for a thrill for your hubby. Mm-hmm. How long have you and him been married?
34 years.
I think for the 34.
Even I didn't know that. 34 years. That's 2 years longer than my parents.
I think it's 34. We were married in 80. We got together in 87, married in 89. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Together 34 years.
Married 32?
Yeah.
Just about. Yeah.
There you go.
Now, how did you guys meet? Because I want to hear this love story, because the folks need to know that it's possible. The folks need to know.
I was at a basketball game at a Lowe's, Cleveland Cavaliers. I was an attorney at the time. There was a woman there that was a judge, Stephanie Tubbs Jones. She became a senator later. She is now deceased. And she looked at me and she didn't say hi. She said, "Hey, have you got somebody?" And I said, "Well, no." And she says, "I got somebody for you." And she introduced me to the man that I am now married to. He had just gotten a divorce and he was depressed. And so he showed me her. He showed him me to cheer him up.
Wow.
And now I've been looming large in his life.
So you can cheer him up, and then 34 years later, y'all are still together.
Still chugging along.
Now, look, I feel like I'm hogging it, Austin. Come on, definitely.
You're not listening. Because you're not hogging it. This your show, this your platform. I'm just honored. You know what I'm saying? But see, so Judge, let me ask you this now. Because you know what we've discussed on Clubhouse. You know what I grew my name up from.
Right.
You said something that's vital. You got him out of his depression state. How important do you think it is? Because I was actually having a conversation about this on another podcast. It's called With All Due Respect yesterday. How important do you think it is for a woman to be suitable for the kind of man she wants to marry? Because obviously for you to be married for 32 years or together 34 years, there's something about the compatibility nature that you guys both possess for one another that is standing a test of time in a way that most modern relationships, most modern marriages don't stand. What was it about him that enabled you to be, I guess, the best version of yourself? Or were you the best version? Or were you just Judge Lynn? Were you just Miss Lynn Toler at the time?
I was not together. When I was 27, 28, 29 years old, nervous, flighty, he would call like, he got me tickets to Shaka Khan, I think, because it was my favorite person. And some reason that day I just got sad and he called me up, "Well, let's go." And I said, "I don't feel like going. Take some other woman. I don't want to go." And he didn't leave. He took his buddy George, but I was not put together. I had potential, and so did he. And we were dedicated to the proposition of making it work. I was, according to all of y'all on the Clubhouse, I would have been a horrible wife material. All I had was a degree and money.
You know what's so funny? We talk about this all the time. And this is something that's discussed, not just in the, as they'll say, the YouTube manosphere or the YouTube universe or Clubhouse. There's this new fascination, I think, with don't come to me unless you're prepared, not realizing that. And I've said this so many times before, especially when you're talking about women. We forget a man has to settle for you, just like you settle for him. To settle is not a bad thing. You settle on a house.
Right.
You understand? You settle on the car. Some of y'all settle on the gold or the everybody in the YouTube manosphere and everybody in Clubhouse is millionaires and whatnot. So you settled on the silver Rolls Royce instead of the black one, church. You know what I'm saying? You settled on something. To settle means to come to contentment with. You're happy with your purchase. You're happy with the person you've selected. Why do you think, or what do you think, in your opinion, Judge Lynn, got women today running around here talking about my man has to make $100,000 and he has to be this, and that, and this and that? What happened to women in today's generation that caused that? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'll say that. Well, I'll wait till you answer because I have my own personal thing.
It's the same thing that happened to dudes, the ones on Clubhouse and are talking all that stuff. It's a woman has to come to me submissive and resting in her feminine, and she can't have this many degrees, or she got to pretend like she ain't got degrees when she's with me, but all that kind of stuff. And then women are in there. The problem is we're talking about it too much. We're having all of these conversations. Nobody's an expert. Everybody's just a person anybody with a platform and opinion can speak. And so we get into these terminologies, simps and all of that kind of stuff. And we're all trying to say the definitive thing about what love is and what marriage is and about what being together is. And we all don't want to look stupid. So you come in here, you can't get a guy, but he's got to have $100,000. He's got to have this. He's got to have that, because you feel better in the context of that conversation. Right. But according to divorce court, Dudes ain't got to have none of that. No work. You gotta show up. You know, if it's Johnson is working, she's fine with it.
Hey, look, I don't. Hey, I'm gonna tell you
true.
something. You know what I find so ironic? The majority of the women that do the complaining about he has to be qualified, he has to be this and that, he's got to be macho, blah blah blah. They only say this type of crap after they've been quote unquote used up, or they something about them has now impacted the way that they see men, and men do the same thing. We love talking about how she
exactly.
has
It's everybody.
Right. Love running around talking about how she got to be qualified, she has to be submissive, this and that and this and that, but they haven't. Most people have never really had the type of stuff they claim that they're only qualified for.
Exactly.
Until they get their feelings hurt one too many times.
And the really stupid thing about it is, especially when you talk about he has to have A, B, and C, you've taken a snapshot of him in time right now.
Yes.
Right.
I didn't have my act together. He didn't have his act together, but we got our act together.
Come on now.
And so if you know, I came to him with all my pieces and parts where they were. His pieces and parts were where they were. We took our little broom, we swept it together. You know, he had 4 kids. His financial situation wasn't cool. My parents like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, there's something about how he makes me.
Wait until I accept
that we gonna work through it. You know what I mean? He had all of those things. And then I remember, because my mother didn't want me to get married, and as she was dying in this house, and he was helping me care for her. And she said, you got the right guy. I was wrong. He was the right guy. It wasn't the rational thing. He didn't look good on paper, but he looked good in my heart. And that's where the brother lives.
Whew. That's what's lost today, man. That's what's lost today. You said it right there. It's in the heart. Yeah. If the heart is right, and everything else is going to fall into place.
And everybody's fronting about the money and the this and the that and the other things. It's like, yeah, he got a good heart. He ain't got his act together. My father didn't have his act together when he met my mother. He didn't have any money because he had just gone through a divorce. And he was like, baby, I don't have anything right now. But if you can stick with me and help me keep it together, I will make us big money.
I've said so many times before that men, for us, whether people want to acknowledge this or not, you can say whatever you want. When a man finds the right woman, he will do whatever for that woman.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Anything.
Do whatever.
Now,
anything.
Judge Lynn, I heard this story that you told on Austin's interview that you had with him on his platform. And guys, definitely follow Austin's platform. His link is in the subscription. You talked about your dad and how your dad told you, nobody came for me, so nobody is going to come for you. I thought that was powerful because he was the driving, or not the driving force, but he gave you a battery and said, hey, look, you're gonna have to put a battery in your back if you want to get somewhere and do some things. What do you tell the woman who does not have a father? Because like I said, I grew up in a house with a father as well, and a father is such an intricate part of a young girl's life and who she is in her infancy and who she is as a woman, as an adult. So what would you tell the woman who does not have that in their home growing up as a woman now in this modern world society, trying to date and find and be a wife?
Let me say this. My father was a fantastic man. But I never ever saw him. He was always working. Never saw him. So, and he was also bipolar. So sometimes when I did see him, there was usually a problem. Gotcha. So he wasn't Ward Cleaver. He wasn't Dr. Huxtable. He was the guy who funneled us money, stood between us and horror, and then caused trouble. Okay. No matter where you're born or whom you're born to, you can make a decision to do as you please with what you're going to do next. And my mother was the constant source of, you can do the school's homework, but now you got to do mine. You can do this well, but you got to do this better. She was the one who did the action of building my sister and I. My father and her, he did her part, she did his part, but his part was like pretty much paying the bills. But you only start where you are. You don't have to end there. And the decision to have hope and know what you don't want is very, very important. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to know what you don't want. So I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be here. What do I do about that? Well, being with Tyrone today, Netflix and chilling, is that going to take me where I want to go?
You had to use that reference, didn't you?
I love that song, Tyrone. Just love it. Because
I'm trying to tell you.
In divorce court, you see women who don't leave, and it's just a cycle of going back and keep going back. Why do you think that psyche is something that's implanted in a woman's mind of taking the hurt and the pain and not necessarily walking away?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. Historically, being married was the only game in town. You were not fully, we couldn't vote for a long time. And then up until the 70s, getting a loan was a hard thing, or all of those things that we couldn't do. So, and you're determined whether or not you're successful if you had a Miss or a Mrs. on your name. I mean, historically, that has been the case. And we do like being in relationships, women. We really do. We find it comforting. I find he makes me feel so very safe. I wouldn't do well by myself. I need a dude. And I ain't ashamed to say it. I need the right dude, but I need a dude for my personal psyche. And then when you fall in love, you are invested so much in this situation. And you always think, well, he got all mad and crazy about the Heinz ketchup. Maybe I'll just buy Hunt's instead and we'll be all right. So, you want it to work. You're invested, you're in love, and you want it to work. And as time goes by, our options diminish. They do not increase. It ain't fun.
Wait.
Yeah, but it's
that
true.
Again. Hold on. Say that one more time, Judge Lynn.
As time goes by, our options diminish. They do not increase. It ain't politically correct, but it's true.
Now, I got a question. Not even to Precious, there was another content creator not too long ago made that same statement. Only difference was that this person said a little bit more brash. Why is it that it's become in our society, Judge Lynn, such a difficult thing to tell the truth like it is? Because the older that men get, it's safe to say the more options that we possess.
They do.
There's a direct correlation. Granted, there's a direct correlation between the older we are, the more money we make. Right. This is why older men can attract younger women. However, when a woman says the older you get, the less options you possess, dating wise or marriage wise, whatever, there's always this pushback. Oh, you can't tell me this. I'm a modern woman. I age like fine wine. This and that. Why is it so hard for all of us to accept that easy to tell truth? Well, it's easy to say it.
I think we live in a day and age where facts are secondary to your feelings, and you can't. And everybody is like, well, I can't admit this negative fact about me without feeling less than. And we raised children. It was my generation who did it. I didn't raise my kids like this, but a lot of them did. It's just like Johnny needs to be happy. Jill needs to be happy. And everybody's has to be wonderful. And you can't say this is bad about me and this isn't good, or these are my problems, or these are my things, because it's not, we've taught them, we taught the wrong thing about, our feelings take precedent over. I mean, even the politicians can't even get anywhere near the facts if their feelings don't support them.
Right, you gotta good. People want them beautiful lies and not the uncomfortable truth.
And they would, and they're even going for the stupid lies now.
For sure.
Because it is now, they said it. It doesn't have to be true, but they're suing Alex Jones now for years. He just said those kids did not die at Sandy Hook. Yes. And there are people who believe them. The truth has taken a gut shot from the fact that so many people can get on a platform and speak what they believe.
Yes.
You know, you used to have to work to make a book, or you had to work to get a show. You had to jump through hoops. You had to have journalistics. That doesn't happen anymore. All you have to have is a platform and a loud and spicy opinion, and people will believe what you say.
You said it. You said it in our last interview. You said a platform and a microphone does not a platform and an opinion.
An opinion does not an expert make.
Yeah,
no,
does not.
You're absolutely right about that.
You know, and I think that that's one of the things that we have missed in today's society. Now, I'm a huge fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of the democratization of the airways.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, because I never believed that you had to have a full-on college degree to be able to say this, to tell the truth. You never had, Dr. King talks about that a lot. He says you don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity and all that good jazz. But in today's society, I think what has happened is that we have Denzel Washington said it best as well. He said we've lost our value. The truth has lost its intrinsic value. You used to trust Walter Cronkite. You used to trust the news reporters, but now it's just, who cares? Get it out there. We don't care.
Get it out first and get it out loudest.
Come on now.
Facts
just
don't matter.
Sell it.
Yep. Facts don't matter.
Now we are going to hop on over to the subject of the modern woman, because you came on here beautiful, no makeup, natural. What would you say to the women who, and I don't want to offend anyone, although people may get offended, and that's just the world that we live in. But what would you say to the woman who feels like she cannot operate without her wig, or operate without makeup, or operate in a space where she has to be over sexualized? What would you say to that modern woman if she came to you on your show and you saw how she was dressed and had that but had no self-esteem? What would you say to her?
I would say find a passion. Because you can't, if you judge yourself by who you got and how much money you make, which is all anybody wants to talk about anymore, then those things are absolutely essential to you. I build doll houses. I read books. I have a whole life that is layered. And I wrote a book for young girls called Dear Sonali. And it doesn't start talking about dudes until the very end. And it doesn't talk about looks at all. So if you're passionate, you have passion and you have purpose in a variety of areas, you don't have to become committed to the proposition that my value is based upon what I look like, whose name I got on my shirt that ain't mine, which I just do not understand that at all. And I don't have to, I don't have to define myself that way, because you can find how interesting and fascinating you are absent all that stuff.
Now, you said dollhouse. Did you build dollhouses?
Yeah, I would show you one too, but I just broke it up the other day because I'm building another one, and I had to get it out. So.
How did you get into building dollhouses? Because do you have girls? Do you have girls? You don't have any girls, right?
Boys, no. I did it ever since I was a teenager. It's very intricate, time-consuming work. So I tend to be a worrier. I have anxiety. So I never say I have this problem. Help, deal with it. I said, I got this problem. I got to fix it.
Yes.
One of the way I fix my anxiety is to focus on things that will not let me be anxious. So when I have downtime, I got crocheting. I'm going to start sewing soon, just to keep me together, because that's my job. Keep me together.
So that is a solution to anxiety for those who may have.
It's one of the things I do. I work out in the morning. I let the endorphins work for me. I have a worry book. I don't say, I can't be told this, or I'm going to be triggered. I don't do all of that. I say, I got an issue. Let me fix it. The world don't care. The world don't need to care. Yeah. I need to care.
Calling a thing a thing. Now, I was going to ask you, you're talking about things that you do. What was your mindset getting married? Because again, he is divorced. He has 4 children. He's not financially, have that financial wisdom there. What was your mindset, you having money and, you know, not having those worries of children, what was your mindset going into this? And your mom telling you, no, he ain't the one. You know, what's your mindset getting married? Because that's a long-term commitment. And now 34 years later, you're still here. So it had to be something and a series of things that you continue to do as a woman that developed you into a wife.
Well, I married him because he was the right dude.
Mm-hmm.
I realized he was the right dude when I did some weird stuff and he didn't bounce, and he just would look at me like, oh, she's odd. And I can work with that. Like, you know what I mean? Or he used to be late all the time, and I would say, I can't stand that. So he made sure he was on time. This is a man who's willing to change how he conducted business for me.
Right.
So if he's willing to, if he loves me, he knows I'm weird, and he okay with that. And he was strong and handsome. He was over 6 feet, and that was the only, I think, stupid criteria that I had, but I had it for a good reason. I'm 5'1", my dad's 5'2", my mother's 5'3", my sister's 4'10", my grandmother's 4'8". Had I not married height, I would have doomed my male children to being, you know, 5'2", 5'3", and that's hard on a dude.
Okay, so you know, it was good reason. It was good reason.
Was it fair to say that is it fair to say that the only requirement you women need to have is a height one? Is that fair to say?
No, that's the only one I had because I had height issues.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If I didn't have height issues, I wouldn't have needed a tall dude.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we have issues in that area. But he was just so solid. No flake in him nowhere.
As you told me in our interview, you said he was a certified badass for sure.
Yeah, I heard that.
You know,
even with his quote unquote, and I'm quoting it, baggage. There's some women who would say he had baggage, but he was solid
as a rock. And he understood me for who I was, and it didn't scare him. He stayed.
That's what makes a man, though.
It was acceptance on both ends.
Yeah.
Absolutely. See her for where she at.
Absolutely.
You know? I think that's what makes us.
It was not, you know what I mean? And I could do some annoying things, and he was like, okay.
Now, I wanted to read some of these comments because, like I said, there was over 1,000 of them. I don't even have a fraction of them. But Mandy says, her generation, okay, fine. But not today. Males in my age group are a different brand of male. So what would you say to the woman who's like, well, she got lucky because the brothers in today's society, they not solid.
Yeah. I will say this. The solid brothers won't necessarily be over 6 feet.
Wait, whoa. I'm 6'2". I'm solid. Hold on now.
In the back.
I said, no. But you can't, you know. Now I didn't say anything negative. What I said, solid brothers aren't necessarily over 6 feet. For
sure.
See what I'm saying? I got two solid sons under 6 feet. So stop having these irrational desires about, and I'm saying that clearly knowing that was one of mine.
Right.
Owning that.
Right.
Owning it. But I had a reason for it. Mm-hmm. But all of this, you know, he's got to be this, he's got to be that, he's got to be the other thing. He could be 5'5" and kind of goofy. You know what I mean? But he might be solid.
Right. He might be solid.
He might.
Somebody said 5'8" gang here.
You just, you know, I don't, you know.
Cheryl Taylor says the problem with some people, men and women, is that they say I want a good woman / man, but if they don't make a certain amount, if they don't drive a certain car, if they have children, if they are kind, then certain people turn their noses up at them. So having a good man versus woman is you who have to be good, and you have to recognize what good is. This is from someone married 39 years. So just stop with the labels and start recognizing the people in person in front of you. And
it's the labels that are killing you.
Yeah.
You know, it's the labels that are killing you.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's what you need.
I was wondering if it's cat.
What you need her for?
The mommy moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was son 6 of 6.
I figured mommy never turns off. That never turns off.
No,
24/7. Okay.
with his grown ass.
Yo, this is why I love Judge Lynn, because she keep it real, man.
For real.
She keep that. Hey, she keep that thing player 100% of the time. There's no cap. That's why we. You know what? I will never forget. It was Judge Lynn. I think it was one of the conversations that I think it was the first conversation you popped in on. We were talking about. It was. I was reviewing the work of. It was a Kevin Samuels that did a crossover. May he rest in peace, with Joe Budden, his podcast. I think, and we were talking about, are the kind of women today, are they asking for the kind of men they're qualified for? And we kind of spoke to the superfluous nature of a lot of the requirements that women have: the money, the height, the looks, the this and that. If there was one bit of advice that you could really give women today, outside of, just ignoring the height requirement, ignoring the frivolous stuff, would you tell women, what would you tell women about seeking a man that has a specific dollar amount in his bank account? Or is there any bit of advice in particular that you think is very vitally important for women today to hear and to really soak it in?
I wouldn't look at the dollar amount at all. I would look at about what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
I wouldn't want to marry a dude who's going to make the same amount when I meet him at 30 years later. You know what I mean? We're progressing. We're doing something. Is he about something? Yeah. Is he reliable? Does he want to work? Does he have good ideas? Is he going someplace? Those are the kind of things that you insist. Does he keep it coming in, even if it ain't coming in large? Does he keep it coming in? What, you ain't Beyonce. You don't get Jay-Z. I'm not Beyonce.
Ooh, bomb drop.
Yeah. I'm telling you, that right there is the problem. People see, okay. I said this yesterday. This might get a little controversial, but y'all know I gotta be myself.
Look, we here for it.
Come on, listen. You will never see a Rasputia with an Idris Elba or a Rock. There is a direct. The point I'm making is you're qualified for certain things based on certain factors, be it genetic, which we can't control how we born, and you look how you look, right? But there are certain things you can't alter. If you're a man and you ain't, there was a guy I saw yesterday it was on my Explore page. Man increased his height by 5 inches. He had leg lengthening surgery because the woman he wanted told him he was too short. Man spent thousands upon thousands of dollars to lengthen his height by 5 inches. So went through rehab, this, that, and the third. I hope he gets the woman for sure. I really do. I hope that all that surgery you went through, brother, is worth it. Really do. But what is being demonstrated today is women think do women overqualify themselves? Because when the little girls are coming up, you're always told you can get the world, you deserve this and that and this and that. Beautiful. I hear all of that stuff. But then when it comes down to the real question of, are you qualified for the man that you want? Why is that a hard thing for some women to be able to tell the truth and say, no, I might not? Like you said, you ain't Beyonce, you don't get a Jay-Z. Why can't most women accept that, you think, in today's society?
I don't think that they don't. I think they talk that stuff on platforms. But when I was in divorce court, every time my mouth was open about, but why do you want, he says you teach but if you could get a ring, you'd be satisfied with the no money and the cheating and the this and that, the other thing. And I got it en masse for 14 years. And so I think it is what people talk trash that they're not really doing in their real lives. Or if they know they can't, it's also hard to be told, don't nobody want you. It's really hard, especially when you're a woman in a society where that that often defines whether, you know, that for so long has been the definition
social status,
of success. Social status, being a Spencer, that was the worst thing in the world. It's the worst thing in the world to say, I've done the best I can and don't nobody want me. It's easier to say, I don't want no man has got enough for me to want him. And I think that's happening more than people, you know, having unrealistic expectations in real life. I don't know if that's true, but that's just based upon what I see.
I would say it is. You know, women don't want to sit in that, and men too. They don't want to be uncomfortable in that truth. They don't want to sit in that truth and say, okay, how do I fix this? Like you said, you build doll houses. It's like if I have anxieties, I'm going to take it out here. And you also mentioned passion. You know, if you're focusing on the things that you know are allowing you not to get sleep at night, then you're losing time on your passion. You're not really, you know, finding it. Another thing you said, because we're going to get into the next part of this. Another thing that you said on the interview with Austin was, ladies, make them work for the draws. Make them work for the Vicky Secrets. All right, make them work for it. Make them work for it.
Make them put the work in. Oh, make them work for the mug. You know,
I was talking to one of my son's friends.
Come on now.
And I was just appalled. You know, so she just wanted to have, you know, and he showed me the text. Oh, she just want to have sex. No.
What?
Well, you got it like that. You got it like that, though. You know?
You're part of the problem.
How am I part of the problem? I'm just telling the truth, man. Hey, look, I didn't say I accepted the offer. I understand, you know what I'm saying? I understand that game. I understand that. Trust me.
I mean, if you're a dude and you know you can always get a younger woman and you can always have sex with women and you don't have to commit and you can have kids and walk off.
Yeah.
Why walk down the aisle?
Ain't no point to it. Ain't no point. One of the last things that I said in our interview, Judge Lynn, when we got to that,
I think it's better for society. Yeah. But when you ask a 23, 24, 25-year-old, why would he say yes to that?
Why? He doesn't know what work is. She doesn't know what work is. Yeah. It's all fun at that point.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm 20. I just turned 27 a few days ago. My birthday was the 2nd of August. And one of the things I remember saying in our interview was, you know, in the words of Mrs. Doubtfire, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free, dear? You know, it's you have to understand that the society that we live in, men can dominate it because women have accepted. Like, did y'all see? There was I forget what podcast this was, Precious. There were 3 beautiful, beautiful chocolate skinned young ladies. They were talking about they want to have kids, but they don't want marriage. You know, did you see that? It was
Light Skin Keisha was on it. I forget the name of the podcast.
Light Skin Keisha was on it. Sure was. So, question is this: that is indicative of a severe lack of moral character. Let's think about it. And I said this straight up. I was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Poor Minds, I think it's called. I mean, Poor Minds is the name. But
granted, but the thing about that is this: you don't want to be married to somebody on paper, but you're married to them from a mental state for the rest of your life because you've created a life with them that's going to last you for the entire life of the child.
Right.
So you don't want to be, what it is you still want to be out there and possibly reproduce with somebody. Because you know what I took that to say? You know how a lot of Instagram models or whatnot will have a lot of quote unquote baby daddies or connections to athletes or whatever the case. So you still want to have your pick of the litter, even though you already done produced litters of children with other brothers. That to me makes no logical sense. You're already being married. In essence.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminded me of a documentary called The Vanishing Black Family. It came out in 1986. 21 women were surveyed, and the documentary opens and said, how many of you want to be married to your father or your child's father? One person out of 21 women raised their hand. The women all said it's easier to raise a kid alone than to have to deal with a man too. A man is too much responsibility. And I sat there and I said to myself, what the This is what you want us to deal with.
But I have to say this though, you're leveling that sin at the feet of women. Why is it that the dudes that they're with don't have any more moral standing than to stand up and treat their women right? Women don't want to just screw around and have a kid here and there if they could have one good brother at home doing the right thing. But they're saying amongst the choices that we have, being a single mother is better. That's an indictment of brotherhood. What are you doing that I'd rather struggle by myself? I mean, both sides are wrong, but it's not simply women's moral character. It's about the practical choices that they have.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But Judge Lynn, let's be honest.
Okay.
Which one of us carries the greater risk in having sex, me or you?
Women, no doubt.
For sure. Therefore, the double responsibility has to be on you because you're the one that can get pregnant. You're the one that has to carry the kid to fruition. You're the one also that maintains unilateral authority over whether or not that child makes it.
And putting the double responsibility on us and allowing men to have none whatsoever is what bakes this in and makes it solid. You can't just say one side, you bear all the burden and the other side does not.
Oh no, I agree with you. No, men do. Men need to stop being foolish for sure. But I wanted to hone in on that particular point because I think that's where people make their mistake. And society has always held men accountable for sure. Right? You go back and you read the Moynihan Report, look at Moynihan Scissors, you look at the mass exodus of black men from black women in the 1960s. It's not the pandemic, the true pandemic of fatherlessness and the broken black family is not the responsibility 100% of the black woman. I would never say that. No one that really has conducted a multivariate analysis of this problem would make such foolish a statement. But we know that men are at least the good ones know that men are overall responsible. I think what has never really happened in our history, though, is we've never taken a hard, staunch look at what black sisters' role has been in the quote unquote self-destruction we've engaged in. This is why Sister Shahrazad Ali caught so much hell for that book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, back in I think that was in the 70s that book came out. They gave her she took a lot of heat. If you came back and read some of the stuff that they said on Donahue and everything else, she was saying a lot of the same things. But see, what has happened is every other race of women in the world has had their behaviors studied, has had their behaviors examined, except in our culture, I think, in society, with our women just having a fair conversation. Because the second that we say, well, hold on, sister, you might need to correct this and that about yourself, it's always, oh, you can't do this. I'm a divine feminine. I'm this and that. There's always that inevitable sense of pushback. I think that occurs.
I disagree.
Think so?
I do. I disagree that, Black women aren't the only women that haven't been studied. And I don't believe that. I don't know about deep studies with, why white women do what they do. They talk about why women do what they do, but I don't think there's been a separate solid study about white and then Black women are the only ones that cannot take accountability and you gotta also talk about, when you talk about women not taking accountability, you also have to talk about what women are you talking to, because ain't none of my friends like that.
Sure.
None of my friends' daughters like that. Ain't none of my friends' sons like that. Yeah. And I was raised in a community of Black professionals where everybody had a daddy. Now, all of those men could have walked off. They could have done something differently. They could have not fought to stay and work and allow the state to take care of their woman and their children, but they didn't.
They didn't. You're right. I agree.
Do it. They didn't. There couldn't no government, no money say walk away from your woman and your kids.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So if you say, well, the government broke up our families by giving us welfare, I don't believe that.
And you know what? The true analysis of it, you're right. Because like I said, I talked about the mass exodus of Black men from Black women. If you actually have read the Moynihan Report, it wasn't Black women never kicked men out the house. That's a popular myth that's probably never happened. Never happened. Black males from 1950, it was 1950 to 1967, just left, dipped out. Never, so welfare essentially closed the door. And I said this in our interview, welfare closed the door on a bunch of brothers that had already decided to leave.
Right. And I say all the time on my platform that, and everyone knows this, women control sex. Women control sex, yet men control relationships. Men, pick who they want to marry. So you know, if you know that a man is searching for a wife, yet you control your sex and you're not really in control of it, then you have to expect to not necessarily be a wife unless a man is looking for some loosey goosey wife, and most times they're not. You know, so it's like if women are controlling sex, men aren't necessarily controlling a relationship with this woman that he's having sex with. She's going to continue to multiply the generations of men who are not going to commit to relationships. And the men are not coming in to fix these issues, knowing that they're part of the problem. That's another issue. A lot of men will say, "Oh, well, she's a single mom. She need to handle that. That's her problem. We're not coming in to save her. We're not doing that." Nobody wants to be a part of the community anymore. This is a community.
Both sides have so much ownership in so many issues. They don't even have time to talk about the other side. We both have so many issues that we have to deal with, and you can't win your issue and I not win mine. And I can't win my issue without you winning yours, because we only win when we show up together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 100%. But by the time people figure that out, it's too late. By the time you figure out, I got just listen. By the time you realize you doing all, as I say, you doing all this talking, and you determine, oh, the house I live in is glass too. Oh God, it's too late. Because by then you're in your 40s or 50s if you're a man, and you're I don't care how much money you want. At some point, a woman is gonna look at you like, brother, you got to at least know how to keep yourself together. And for the women, it's the same thing. By the time you figure out you're just as imperfect as all the rest of us, we got just as much baggage as all the rest of us, it's too late.
Right.
But we live in a society.
I went to college with, and we were talking a few years ago, and he said, all of those great women I walked right by, thinking that I could always do better. Yes. But all the best women I met were in college. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, and I thought, you know, I would have picked somebody there had I known it was going to be that tough out here. Mm-hmm. And it was a dude, but it was like, you know, you gotta, I don't know what point I was trying to make. Say something else.
I'm gonna go to another comment on the comments here. Barbara Buntley says he was a high value man for what you needed in your life. Salute to you, Judge. Lisa McShane says you're a fine example of what women should be like, and your husband is a fine example of what men should be like. But these days they want it all right away, don't they? They want it fast, and if they can't get it, they're on to the next one.
Right. Yeah, we make decisions too soon, and part of it is we date publicly. You know what I mean? You know, oh, I got this dude. I got that dude. Here's a picture of him. The minute he looks at me twice, I got to put him on my timeline. And then you get embarrassed. You know, I mean, you don't want to put a regular Joe ain't got his act together on your timeline. But what's wrong with him? You regular?
Where's the church music? Okay, you missed.
Look,
it.
Hey,
you missed it.
That's how you do it. I think. But even Judge Lynn, to your video, to the point of the video that went kind of got 100, what was it, 169,000 views of yours, Precious?
Goodness. About 270 views.
Blowing up now. Judge Lynn, what the hell is a pick me by your definition?
I don't know.
The hell is that?
They just called me one. I was on the phone, you know, and they would say, but and I was saying, I was explaining to somebody who I got and why.
Yeah.
And she sounds like a pick-me, because I didn't, you know, he had this and he had that and he had the other thing. You know, his stuff wasn't together because he had just gotten a divorce. So you know what that does to you.
Look, as a man I know that better. I wasn't married before. I got close to getting married, but I know what it's like when a relationship is going one way and then it's, you know, and I'm a dad myself. So trust me, I know.
And she said, well, you sound like a pick-me. You didn't get any of those things that, quote unquote, made him a high value man. And I said, well, you know, my idea of value and your idea of value might be different.
Come on.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. And high value is not what Kevin Samuels said it was.
Come on,
I never agreed with that. You know what high value really is? I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. There was a book I read. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of this author. His name was Edwin Lewis Cole. He was a pastor. I think he was pastors in, I want to say Alabama, either Alabama or Ohio, somewhere. He wrote a book called On Becoming a Real Man. What he did was he took the life of the historical Jesus and he removed the religiosity out of it. So of course, I'm a Christian, obviously. I worship Jesus and all that stuff. But he looked at him as just the purely historical figure, just in the New Testament, eyewitness documents, and the external documents that mention them, like the non-biblical sources. He said real manhood is conducting yourself how he did, as close to it as you can. Because when you look at it, he stood up for himself. He stood up for the poor. He stood up for what mattered. Real men, his whole book could basically be summed up in a quotation of Jesus. He who is greatest among you shall be your servant. Isn't the role of good men, when you look at all the greatest men in history, no joke, when you look at the greatest men in history, they all served something, somebody. I don't care if it's Marcus Garvey. I don't care if it's Mohandas K. Gandhi. I don't care if it's Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Euripides, Aristophanes. I don't care who it is.
I didn't read about them. No, I'm just
You didn't read about this. See, I'm a reader though, man. I'll give you the books. My shelf just ain't quite as thick as Judge Lynn's. The point is that when you look at what has happened with us, men have lost their ability to understand what serving means, because now people love to tell this lie that Republicans and Democrats party switch. No, I'm gonna tell you what really switched roles with men and women. You got a bunch of soft men today that want to be treated like women. You got a bunch of hardcore women that want to act as if they're men. And then we sit up here and we wonder why we have so much hell in the marriage game. That's my honest opinion. I am not saying it.
Or the city girl culture. You got the women who want to be tough, and then you got the city girl culture who just want to flip it and do whatever they want with it.
I don't cook, I don't clean. Let me tell you how I got this ring, honey. Let me tell you.
Well, I don't cook and I don't clean.
Come on.
I know, you know what I mean? Listen, this last couple of weeks, I had 2 really good meals I made. I'm so excited. I'm going to remake one today. But I'm not good at it. I don't cook and clean. I made meals.
Come on.
But cooking and cleaning wasn't what my parents raised me to do. So I don't. I mean, but my husband and I both do now, because we're home all together today. He'll do one, I'll cook, he'll clean, this and that, the other thing, But when my kids were little, I cooked all the time.
But see, that's the thing, though, Judge Lynn. You changed with the times. You adapted.
True.
Ain't that fair? Ain't that a marriage? I ain't finna listen. Let me tell you something. If you ain't growing with somebody year after year, you're gonna get annoying. I'm gonna want to leave. If you the same, if we meet today, if we meet September of 2022, and you the same person September 23, you ain't grown, you ain't developed, you ain't added something to me, I got to go, church. Yeah. I gotta dip out of there.
And I love how you said you don't cook and you don't clean, because those aren't necessarily the focal points of your relationship, and how that's a pick me. Oh, I cook and I clean and I fold his clothes and I read his mind and I do X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, there's a different focus here. I mean, it has to get done, and we do it periodically here and there. But there's a focus. The focus is changing the marriage. Like you say, you grow in a marriage.
Yes.
But I mean, the whole idea of a pick me is silly, because you could call my mother a pick me. She cooked, she cleaned, she did everything. She would buy glasses by the dozen, but she was the difference between him being out of control and him making money and being solid and being stately. She's the reason the kids turned out okay, because she was home doing the work. That don't make her a pick me. That don't make her, please like me, please. That doesn't make that at all. I got these, he had these strengths, she had those strengths. Let's put those strengths together and see how strong we can make our kids. That's what that is. There's no such thing as a pick me.
Right.
There's just no such thing.
Well, thank you for saying that, Judge Toler. Thank you.
Yeah. So when you look at the argument or you look at the great conversations that take place across the world, across the YouTube world, Clubhouse, between modern and traditional women, you look at those conversations. Is there a better, in your opinion, is it better to be traditional as a woman? Is it better to have traditional values? Is it better to be modern? Does it matter at all? Or is there no true significance anymore in that type of?
You need to be who you are. You know what I mean? I'm not traditional or modern. I don't fit in a category, thank God. And if you are trying to categorize everybody, you're missing all the beauty. Your humanity lies in the fine print. It has nothing to do with what's in the title. what you do every day, how you feel, how you change, how you respond to conflict. It got nothing to do with, I'm a traditional woman, so I'm going to cook and clean and tell my husband he's wonderful no matter what he does, and I'm going to book. There isn't any of that. I do some of that when it's necessary. When my husband's down in the dumps, I'm the biggest cheerleader he's got. But the same happens to me. Nobody has a role of, this is what you do as a woman.
This or that, right?
No, this is what I do as Eric's wife.
Mm.
And this is what Eric does, not as a man, but as Lynn's husband.
Come on.
There are specific things you need to do. And it has nothing to do with what everybody says what a male is supposed to do. It's what a dude is, what I need this dude to do for me. And deeper still, I'm gonna say one thing and I'm gonna let y'all have it. You don't care what anybody thinks about what he does for me and the way he does it. Why would you care?
Because he's solid as a rock.
Come on.
Nobody to tell him nothing about what his value is. Because that brother knows. And if he gets weak and don't remember, I'll tell him.
You gotta remind him.
Mm.
That's a woman right there. That's a wife. I can see what she meant for sure.
34 years and counting.
34 of them guys.
But
that's we lost that nowadays, man. What you think, Precious? You think we got hope in this generation?
I believe that this video went viral because there is hope. There is they have someone that they can see. She did it. She's still doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that more women need to, to me, that clip was a testimony of who she is and who her husband is to her. Yes. And it's not about labels. It's not about names. It's about, I'm suitable for him. He's suitable for me. It wasn't peaches and cream in the beginning. It was pieces here and there, but he saw that I was doing my thing and I saw that he was solid enough to hold me do my thing. And
it's funny. We talk about solid men and solid women. And the greatest refutation I have for these whole modern women that say they want a man to want the ready-made product and not understanding the concept of teamwork is, I take Barack and Michelle Obama, for example. When Barack met Michelle, she was outperforming that brother. On paper, you understand, they weren't supposed to be together, on paper, because she was outperforming him. So if she would have stuck to the logic of most of the modern women today, she would have never gotten to be the first lady, but she saw something in the brother.
Right.
Saw something that made her soul warm. She saw something that made her want to move. And as a result of her having faith, and what I teach women is to identify what I call actionable potential. If he telling you, if he 37, he coming to you as a rapper talking about, you ever heard of 50 Cent? They call me 40%. They call me 40 P's. That's a whole nother ism. But if he come to you and he got something solid in himself, come to you with a plan, and you can see, like Farrakhan say, and he's doing something. When you ask him what he's doing, he tells you, and you get that unction, and you says, I could help this man. And you begin to pick up a book, you begin to study and see, okay, you learn something about what the brother's into, and then you start to help him with it. I promise you he'll grow. Because we the ones, as much of a sexist society as we live in, it's an unfortunate truth. If you support the right brother, you can elevate him to the platform where he can then turn around and bless you and thank you and shower you with gifts and affection.
And likewise, if you support the right sister,
come on,
you go out the way.
Come on now.
She's got something here. Got the brains for it. She's got the ability for it, but she ain't got the push. I ain't got nothing but push. Let me get behind her and push. Look at what happens to you.
You get a Judge Lynn Toler.
There you go.
Divorce court for 14 years.
For real.
One of the baddest in the game.
Seriously. And not only divorce court, I mean, she on marriage boot camp. I don't know if y'all tune into that, but her and Dr. Ish be going in.
And commit or quit. Y'all can't forget
commit or quit. Can't commit that. I was about to say, don't forget commit or quit now.
Commit or quit. So and it's real. That's why I like watching it. I mean, I don't watch much TV. My TV really doesn't go on much. But when it did, it was literally Fox 29 and the whole lineup on Fox 29.
Yeah.
But if it's on demand or things like that, it's these relationship shows. So you see people who are putting plans into action and little workshops together to see how you work together when things are not always at their best, and you bringing out the tension in the relationship. This is what I watch, because we are continuously forming relationships every day, whether they're romantic, professional, whatever it is. We have to have these skills, and you teach skills, real skills, and you give real advice that not only touches, like you said, the people that were in your courtroom, but the people that were in the audience and the people that were behind the screens.
And I always had 3 levels of thought every time I said anything. How's it going to affect them? How's it going to affect the audience? And how's it going to affect other people?
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought on 3 levels before I said anything.
3
because
levels.
you know how things go. Still make mistakes, but it helps.
Right. But you have definitely blessed us with generation after generation of divorce court, Dr. and Judge Lynn Toler on divorce court. Just I know so many people are like, oh my God, she got Dr. I keep saying doctor, but
I have a doctorate in law, so
you know what, Dr. Judgment.
It's a Juris Doctorate degree. It's still a doctor. And her doctoral degree is real. You know.
But I never say doctor because my sister is like a medical doctor, so she's a doctor. So like she could cut you open and all that. So.
But love watching.
I got another about 10 minutes in me. You got anything you want?
We're wrapping it up now. I just wanted to say that I am so grateful. Thank you so much for joining us, joining the platform, giving your gems, your wisdom to those who needed to hear. Austin, what you got?
Look, this is one of my personal heroes. So every time she comes on, I'm like a kid in the candy store. So I'm always appreciative of the gems that you drop, Judge Lynn. And you know, I always say we're gonna have to do this again, and it inevitably happens. So,
no, you good brother. I like you.
I appreciate it. So I'm always honored and humbled.
Thank you.
And Precious, of course, thank you for having me on the platform. What's your closing thoughts for it? Right, take us home.
Look, be you. Create yourself. I always say, I have this thing here that says life isn't about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself. Create you. So the person who's created themselves as well can see them and you can see you and them. And y'all be happy. And don't worry about what other people got to say. Y'all heard Judge Lynn. Her husband didn't care because he's solid. Okay? Don't worry about
somebody that's solid. Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. Find someone solid.
Find somebody who's solid. Somebody who can get it done.
Amen.
Or someone who can push. If they see that you got it, they can push you.
Yes. Amen to that. So Precious, Judge Lynn, if y'all would, where can everybody find y'all on Instagram and YouTube, or where can the people that love you guys' content, where can they find y'all at?
Precious, you go first. You need to tell me what you do when you post stuff where you get 200,000 views and I get
we're going to have to send her the link.
That's what I want to know.
No, but I'm right here. The Real Precious. I also have Instagram, The Real Precious Official. And Austin, where can we find you at? I do have your link in the description.
Yeah, my YouTube channel is Austin Off Script with Dr. Julio in parentheses. I'm at Dr. Julio on Clubhouse, at the Dr. Julio on Instagram. And like I always say, and remember, it's just a nickname, folks. Relax. At Judge Lynn, where can we find you at and get some more greatness from you?
Facebook, Twitter, all of it at Real Judge Lynn. And my books are on Audible and Amazon, and my show Commit or Quits on WeTV, All Black, and a couple other streamers.
Amen to that.
Yes, well, I'll make sure I put everything in the description once we gather all that information. But again, thank you so much, Judge Lynn Toler. I really
thank you for having me. It was delightful. It was lovely to meet you. And you always call you Julio. I'm sorry. Your name is Austin. I just realized.
Julio's my second first. You know, I got 2 first names, so you know it don't matter.
Oh, okay.
I answered either one of them. You know,
I've been calling you Julio. It's like it's your first name.
Everybody does it. It they say it stick. They say I look Mexican. You know, that's what it is.
Well, thank you
for having me.
For the chat, you guys came in and you showed and improved. Thank you so much. But until next time, y'all already know the deal. Keep it real.